Okay. Y'all bring I got the real 5'5" in here. Thank you. Feel like I'm about to go to practice. No. Man, I'm sorry, y'all. I gotta take a moment, man.
Welcome to Kansas City. Just how's it feel to be in this locker room right now?
Man, you know, you get those chills. You know, when you play a little bit of football, you understand, you know, the type of organizations, you know, type of people, and you know, the type of just the things, you know, that certain guys went through for you to be here. You know, and I'm talking about your legends, you know, the guys that came before you, and you get that feeling here. It's a historic atmosphere, you know. And immediately when I walked in, I felt it. You know, when you see walking down the halls and you see Derek Thomas on the wall, Will Shields, you know, it's inspiring, you know, because these are places that these guys have went that, you know, all of us strive to go. And I'm just seeing stuff like that is just pure motivation. And, you know, for a young guy like myself, I say young, you know, going on my 5th year, but for a young guy like myself, you know, that's somewhere where I want to go. So it's inspiring, you know, and it's just something that, you know, I fully recognize and adore.
Spent 4 years, Seattle, 35 sacks, 216 quarterback pressures, and you get the franchise tag. You got rumors of trade possibilities, all different stuff. Just how did you handle this whole process?
It was stressful. I'm real, you know. It was very stressful. It was stressful on me, stressful on my family. But the one thing that, you know, that I understand is that a lot of stuff is out of my control, and that I gotta allow God to handle it. So at the end of the day, you know, when I'm going through it, I'm stressed out, I'm waking up mad, I'm, you know, not understanding what's going on, I'm hearing about getting traded. And one thing I relied on was my faith. You know, I never went away from that. And I just told myself, you know, I gotta let God handle it. I told my family, I started telling everyone around me who was pressuring me to, you know, I'm like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know if I'm getting traded. I don't know if I'm going back to Seattle, but I know I'm playing football next year. That's all I can control. And that's kind of where I stood.
Where were you when you found out that it was official that you were going to be a Kansas City Chief? Just take us into what that moment was like.
I'm in Los Angeles at my house. I was sleeping good. Oh man, next thing I know, my phone just blowing up. My phone's on silent. I'm seeing a notification pop up on my screen, but I'm like, that's probably my dudes bothering me, some of my friends, my family, they bother me every day. But I'm ignoring it. I went back to sleep actually. I woke up about 8. Went back to sleep. I checked the ticker, went back to sleep. They're like, yeah, something could happen tomorrow. You know, I woke up, checked the ticker, wasn't nothing. I'm like, oh, that's probably not gonna happen. Went back to sleep. And next thing I know, I woke up at 10:30. And I see, you know, Frank Clark, the trade, they agreed to the trade and everything. And man, I couldn't have been more happy because at that point I knew, you know, I was playing football for the Chiefs at that point. And, you know, my dreams and everything that I had worked for to this point, you know, one of my goals I got accomplished, so I was ecstatic about it.
Over the last couple of days, fans have seen the highlights. They've seen what you can do on the field. They saw your first career sack against Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
Saw you bring Tom Brady down with one hand. Saw you throwing Phillip Rivers down to the ground. Just what do you bring into this defense? What should Chiefs fans know about you?
I'm the aggressor for sure on the field. I feel like my swagger. My play does a lot of my talking, but I also talk and I back it up.
What do you pride yourself on as a player?
Pride myself on my toughness, my leadership skills, my ability to touch others. I feel like that's one of my biggest things that, you know, that's one of those things you can't really put a number on how good someone is. You know, it's your ability to affect others and, you know, bring other guys along with you, you know, with all your success.
There's a lot made of all the changes on defense this side, from Spagnuolo to defensive position coaches and Matthew and yourself and some of the other guys they brought in. You got the league MVP at 23 years old. What does that mean to you as a defensive player?
It's going to only make us better. Like you said, our defense, you know, I mean, it's a lot of change. You should expect change. I mean, 24th in the league, I believe, on defense last year, ranked on defense last year. I mean, that's 7 away from being last, or, you know, 8 away from being last, and that's not good. Even in Seattle, we was 16th last year, and that wasn't good. So at the end of the day, you know, it's change is required when you want to be one of those top defenses. And I believe, I trust the process. You know, whatever coach is doing upstairs, whatever they're doing upstairs to get us, you know, together to be successful, that's how we're going to go, and that's how we're going to ride. Like I tell my coaches all the time, y'all do the coaching, we'll do the plan. But you got to trust that we're going to do the plan, and we're going to trust that you're going to do the coaching.
Found out that you hadn't even arrived in Kansas City yet before you'd reached out trying to figure out what you can do in the community to help with the homeless shelters and different things that you can do. Without getting into all, just why is that important to you?
Myself, man, you know, for my fans that don't know, for the people who do, I'm not, of course they go find out more, but I grew up homeless. I grew up on Skid Row in Los Angeles, California for a long period of my life, as a child with my mother. It was me and my mom growing up on Skid Row, the Union Mission Shelter. And it inspired me a whole nother way. It's more a personal thing than a financial thing, than a publicity thing. It's something that I truly have in my heart, to do, and that's just to help, particularly women and children, homeless women and children, and be involved in the community regarding that.
Overall, is that part of the sense of motivation or the purpose of motivation for you?
Hell yeah.
Is that what drives you?
Oh man, come on. I mean, growing up, man, you see rats the size of cats coming from where I come from. You seeing people get shot, you seeing people get raped, you seeing all type of stuff going on. So it was a stage where I was forced to grow up. I missed a lot of my childhood. When I'm talking to my manager Pete, and the one thing I'm telling him is like, man, I missed a lot of my childhood. So when I'm getting in trouble when I'm 15, 16, 17, and I missed that. So I'm trying to do everything I wanted to do at those ages that I had missed when I was 10, 9, trying to hang out, have friends. And so I struggled with a lot of that stuff before. I went through a lot of depression stages and a lot of times in my life where I felt like, I wasn't wanted, or felt like, I never did enough, to satisfy my parents or to satisfy my family. So that's all motivation. I mean, that's not somewhere I understand. That's why I'm so heavy in, because I understand where the mindset is when you sitting and you sleeping on the streets. I understand the mindset of feeling like none of your family wants you to come over, so you got to go stay in the homeless shelter. So that's where I understand. That's where I can relate. Period. I'm not one of these players in the NFL who can't relate to, seeing a guy sleeping on the streets as I'm driving, or seeing a guy hold up a sign asking for some money. I can fully relate to everything like that, because I remember being a kid, leaving the shelter and, praying that I find $5 or $1 walking down the street, or praying that I can, just we can get a jolt of happiness in our life. All this confusion, mom being on drugs, this happened. It's like, I'm just praying I can get, one good thing to happen in my life, just so we can get a little bit of light, because it's so dark.
How important is that platform for you then? I mean, at what point did it click for you, knowing what you've been through and that people can relate to that?
I knew when I was younger. I said, if I ever make it to the NFL, I'm gonna do everything I can to help change, the homeless epidemic in our country. I knew that as a child. I said, whatever platform, but I knew as a child what my goal was, and I always stuck to it, and I was making it to this point.
When you arrived in Kansas City, you saw fans at the airport showing you love, and I know the other day you walked around, you met all the different employees. Just what has the last few days been like for you, and the reception that you've gotten from fans and people that you've interacted with?
Like I say, man, one of my quotes, it's all love. It's all love. And when I say that, I mean it, because I've been a lot of places. I've been in stadiums, I've been, you go on tours and stuff, and I remember going on my tour, to KC when I was going through draft visits. And, just coming around and speaking to Coach Andy, and speaking to the guys back then, it felt like that brotherhood. I felt the bond. Although I got drafted in Seattle, I had already felt it. So when I left, I'm like, man, I could really see myself being in KC. And me and Coach Andy, we talked for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. I never talked to a guy that long in my life, but we traded conversation and traded life, and, he shared some things that was going on in his life with, of course, that we all know, with his sons and stuff. And, I'm sharing stuff that's going on in my life about my brothers and my mom and just different people. So that's where the bond's created when you're talking about stuff other than football, So from that moment, 4 years later, I walk in his office as a player now, and it's just like, wow, it's surreal. It's real. Sometimes I got to step back almost, and take it all in.
And last question is just, what do you want? What's your message to your teammates, the guys you haven't met yet that you're going to be meeting soon when you guys get to workouts? Just what's your message to them? What's your mindset coming in to be a guy in that room that everybody can look to?
My message to my teammates would be to be, I'm going to be myself. I'm going to be pure. I'm going to be real. And I'm going to be a guy you can count on. A guy who's reliable. A guy you can trust. I feel like that's a big thing. And a guy who's going to respect, the culture of what's going on. You got to be able to respect what's going on. Respect your surroundings. And got to have trust. Got to have these things if you want to be a successful team in this league.
Ready to get to work?
Oh, of course.